Hi, I'm Sarah. Today I'm going to read you the story of Sheila, which is titled like this: I drove 5 hours to my country house for a family party. It was empty, just trash and dirty dishes. We decided not to wait for you. Clean up for Dad's birthday, Mom texted. I kept quiet. A week later they saw the door closed. 50 missed calls. Well, let's go. So here I am, Sheila, and let me tell you about the week that changed everything with my family. I'm 32, work in marketing for a tech company, and I live about 5 hours away from where I grew up. My parents still live in the same town where my brother Jake and sister Emma have their families too. Mom called me on a Tuesday evening while I was finishing up some reports. Sheila, honey, we need to have a family gathering, she said in that excited voice she gets when she's planning something. It's been way too long since we've all been together. Mom's always been the family organizer. She's a housewife who thrives on bringing everyone together, while Dad runs his small business, nothing fancy, just middle-class stuff that keeps them comfortable. When were you thinking? I asked, already mentally going through my work schedule. This weekend, Saturday would be perfect. We'll have everyone, me and your father, Jake with Lisa and the kids, Emma with Mark and their little ones, plus Aunt Helen and Uncle Bob. It'll be wonderful. I was already stressed about 3 client presentations I had coming up, but family time sounded nice. We really hadn't all been together since last Christmas. That sounds great, Mom. Where were you thinking of having it? Well, that's the thing, I was hoping we could use your lake house. It's so beautiful there, and there's plenty of space for everyone. The kids love playing by the water. My lake house, I bought it 3 years ago as a weekend retreat from city life. It's about an hour from my family's town, right on this gorgeous lake. The place isn't huge, but it's cozy and peaceful. I go there maybe twice a month to decompress. Of course we can use the house, I said, you guys have keys anyway. And they do. I gave keys to Mom, Jake, and Emma because they're family. They use it more than I do, honestly. Jake takes his family there for weekend fishing trips. Emma likes to bring her kids for summer days by the lake. I don't mind, it's family property in my book. The only thing I ever ask is that they clean up after themselves. You're such a sweetheart, Mom gushed. I'll call everyone and let them know. Oh, this will be so much fun. After we hung up, I felt this warm feeling. Yeah, I was busy, but family comes first, right? I spent the rest of the week busting my ass to get everything done. I stayed late 3 nights in a row, finished all my presentations early, and even got ahead on next week's work. I wanted to enjoy the party without any stress hanging over me. Friday evening, I went grocery shopping and picked up some really nice wine, the expensive stuff I save for special occasions. I packed my overnight bag, threw everything in my car, and set my alarm for 6 a.m. The drive takes 5 hours, and I wanted to get there early to help Mom set up. Saturday morning, I stopped at this little roadside cafe about halfway there. The coffee was terrible, but I needed the caffeine. I was actually excited. It had been months since I'd seen my nieces and nephews, and I was looking forward to catching up with everyone. I got to the lake house around noon, expecting to see cars in the driveway and hear voices. But the place was quiet, too quiet. I figured maybe I was early and everyone was still on their way. I grabbed my bags, walked up to the front door, and put my key in the lock. The door swung open, and I stepped inside. That's when my world completely flipped upside down. The living room looked like a tornado had hit it. Furniture was moved around, there were dirty plates and cups everywhere, kids' toys scattered across the floor. There were stains on my couch, looked like juice or maybe wine. Empty beer bottles on the coffee table. The whole place reeked like stale alcohol and leftover food. I stood there for a full minute, just staring. This couldn't be right, this had to be some kind of mistake. I walked into the kitchen, and it was even worse. Every dish I owned seemed to be dirty and piled in the sink. The trash was overflowing with beer bottles and takeout containers. There was some kind of sticky mess on my counters that looked like it had been there for days. That's when it hit me like a punch to the gut. The party had already happened. My family had the party without me. My hands were shaking as I pulled out my phone. I needed answers, and I needed them now. I called Mom first, because she was the one who organized this whole thing. "Mom, I'm at the house," I said, trying to keep my voice steady. "What the hell happened here?" There was this pause, and then she said in this totally casual tone, "Oh, well, we decided not to wait for you. We had the party 2 days ago, it was lovely." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. "You had the party without me? The party you invited me to?" "Well, you know how it is, everyone had busy schedules, and Thursday evening worked better for most people. We figured you'd understand." "Thursday evening? You told me the party was today." "Did I? Well, anyway, we had a wonderful time. The house was fine when we left it." "You're probably just being dramatic again, sweetheart." Being dramatic? I was looking at what used to be my clean, organized living room that now looked like a frat house after a kegger. "Mom, there are dirty dishes everywhere, the furniture is moved around. There's garbage all over the place." "Oh, that's nothing, I'm sure it's not as bad as you're making it sound. You know how you get about cleaning." "How I get about cleaning?" "I like my house to be livable, not a disaster zone." "Mom, I drove 5 hours to be here. I've been looking forward to this for a week. I rearranged my entire work schedule. Sheila, you're being overly dramatic as usual. We'll have plenty of other chances to get together. It's not the end of the world." And then she hung up, just like that, hung up on me. I stood there staring at my phone, feeling like someone had slapped me. My own mother just dismissed me like I was some annoying telemarketer. I called Jake next. He's supposed to be the responsible one, the one who always promises to clean up after his kids when they use the house. Yeah, he sounded annoyed when he picked up. "Jake, it's Sheila, I'm at the lake house, and it's completely trashed." "What happened?" "Oh, yeah, we had the family thing on Thursday." "Look, I'm busy right now, what do you need?" "I need to know why my house looks like a pigsty." He actually laughed. "Come on, Sheila, it's not that bad. The kids were just having fun. We didn't have time to clean everything up before we left, had to get home for work the next morning." "Not that bad?" "Jake, there are sticky stains on my furniture. Every dish in the kitchen is dirty. There's trash everywhere." "You're exaggerating, it's just a little mess, you can handle it." His voice was so dismissive, like he was talking to a child complaining about homework. "A little mess? This place looks like dash. Look, I gotta go, talk to you later." And he hung up too. I was so angry I could barely see straight. I walked around the house taking pictures of everything, the overturned furniture, the disgusting kitchen, the bathroom with towels thrown everywhere and toothpaste smeared on my mirror. I took at least 20 photos showing every angle of the disaster. Then I sent them all to Mom, Jake, and Emma in a group text with the message, "This is what I came home to. This is what you call fine?" The responses made me want to scream. Mom read the message but didn't reply at all. Emma sent back 3 laughing emojis. Jake sent a crying laughing emoji with dramatic much. I was so hurt and angry that I felt tears starting to form. To distract myself, I opened Facebook on my phone. Maybe scrolling through some mindless posts would calm me down. That's when I saw Emma's post from 2 days ago. There was a photo of my living room, filled with my family and relatives. Everyone was smiling, holding drinks, looking like they were having the time of their lives. Mom was laughing with Aunt Helen. Dad had his arm around Uncle Bob. Jake's kids were playing with Emma's kids in the background. The caption made me feel sick. Amazing family time with the people who really matter to us. Love spending time with those who are truly important in our lives. I read that caption 3 times, and each time it felt like a knife twisting in my chest. The people who really matter. Those who are truly important. The message was crystal clear, I wasn't important to them. I sat down on my dirty couch and let myself think about our family dynamics for the first time in years. When was the last time any of them had helped me with anything? I'd paid for Mom's car repairs last year. I'd given Jake money when he was between jobs. I'd watched Emma's kids for free dozens of times when she needed a babysitter. But when I asked for help moving to my current apartment, they were all too busy. When I was in the hospital for my appendix surgery, Emma was the only one who visited, and she spent the whole time talking about her problems. I realized something that made my stomach turn. They saw me as an ATM, someone who had money and a nice house they could use, but not someone whose feelings mattered. As I sat there surrounded by their mess, my phone buzzed with a text from Mom. "Sheila, make sure you get the house cleaned up quickly. Your father's birthday is next Saturday, and we're planning to celebrate there. There will be some important business partners coming, so everything needs to look perfect. This is very important for your father's company." I stared at Mom's text message for a long time. She wanted me to clean up their mess so they could have another party at my house. With Dad's business partners, no less. Like I was some kind of unpaid cleaning service and event venue. My first instinct was to call her back and tell her exactly what I thought about her entitled attitude. But then something clicked in my brain. A plan started forming, and the more I thought about it, the better it sounded. I didn't reply to her text. Instead, I rolled up my sleeves and started cleaning. Not because she told me to, but because I couldn't stand living in filth even for one night. It took me 6 hours to get the place back to normal. 6 garbage bags full of their trash. I had to scrub sticky soda stains out of my couch cushions and mop floors that were covered in crumbs and spilled drinks. The whole time I was cleaning, my plan was getting clearer in my head. They wanted to use my house? They expected me to just go along with their disrespect? Well, they had another thing coming. I decided to stay at the house that night instead of driving back home. It was peaceful being there alone, without my family treating the place like their personal playground. I sat on my deck with a glass of wine, looking out at the lake, and felt more relaxed than I had in months. Sunday morning, I called a locksmith. Found one in the local phone book who could come out on weekends. He showed up around noon, a nice older guy named Pete who didn't ask too many questions. While he was working on the locks, I was busy with my own project. I went down to the basement and flipped on the security system I'd had installed 2 years ago. I'd turned it off about 6 months ago because my family complained about it constantly. "The cameras make us uncomfortable," Emma had whined. "We can't relax when we know we're being recorded." Jake's kids had set off the alarm twice by running around and triggering the motion sensors. After the second false alarm brought the police out, I'd just shut the whole system down to keep the peace. But now? Now I wanted every camera recording and every sensor active. Pete finished with the locks and handed me a set of brand new keys. After he left, I spent some time testing the security system. The cameras had perfect views of the driveway, front door, back deck, and all the main rooms inside. The motion sensors were sensitive enough to detect someone walking through any room. The alarm was loud enough to wake the dead and automatically called the security company, who would then call the police. Everything was working perfectly. I packed up my stuff and drove back to my apartment, 5 hours away. The whole drive home, I felt this weird combination of nervousness and excitement. I was about to find out exactly what my family thought of me, and I was pretty sure it wasn't going to be pretty. Over the next few days, I went about my normal routine. Work, gym, grocery shopping, like nothing had happened. Mom sent me another text on Wednesday, "Don't forget about Saturday. We'll need you to pick up a nice gift for your father, at least $2,000. You can afford it, and it's important to make a good impression on his business partners. We'll be expecting you at the house by 3 p.m. $2,000, for a gift that she expected me to buy. For a party at my house that I was apparently supposed to host and pay for. I didn't respond to that text either. Saturday morning, Dad's birthday, I made myself a nice breakfast, put on comfortable clothes, and opened my laptop. I logged into the security systems app and pulled up the live camera feeds from the lake house. At exactly 3 p.m., I watched 3 cars pull into my driveway. I recognized Mom and Dad's sedan, Jake's SUV, and Emma's minivan. But there was also a fourth car I didn't recognize, probably Dad's business partners. I watched them all get out of their cars. There were about 12 people total, the family I knew, plus 3 guys in suits who were definitely the business partners. The kids were dressed up nice, and Mom was carrying what looked like a homemade cake. They walked up to my front door like they owned the place. I watched Dad try to put his key in the lock. He jiggled it around for a few seconds, then tried again. I could see him saying something to Mom, who then tried her key. That's when it got interesting. Jake stepped forward and tried his key. Nothing. Emma tried hers. Nothing. I could see them all talking, pointing at the door, looking confused. One of the business partners checked his watch. The kids started getting restless. Then Mom pulled out her phone, and I knew exactly who she was calling. My phone started ringing. I let it ring 4 times before I answered. Hello? Sheila, what's going on? We're at your house and none of our keys work. Did you change the locks? Yes, I did. There was silence for a few seconds. Then, why would you do that? We're all here, your father's business partners are here. I changed them because I got tired of people trashing my house and then expecting me to clean it up. Sheila, this is ridiculous, open the door right now. No. What do you mean, no? This is your father's birthday. You're embarrassing us in front of important people. I could hear Dad saying something in the background, and Mom put me on speakerphone. Everyone can hear you now, Sheila, explain yourself. Perfect, this was exactly what I wanted. I'm tired of being used by all of you. I'm tired of you treating my house like your personal party venue and leaving it a disaster. I'm tired of being treated like an ATM instead of a family member. Mom's voice got shrill, you're being dramatic. We cleaned up after ourselves. No, you didn't, I have pictures of what the house looked like. It was disgusting. Jake's voice came through the speaker, we're going to break down this door and have the party anyway. The security system is on, Jake. There are cameras recording everything you're doing right now. If you break into my house, the police will be here in 10 minutes. I heard one of the business partners say something about leaving, perfect. From now on, I continued, none of you are welcome in my house. And I'm done giving any of you money. You want to know what I think of you? You're selfish, entitled people who only call me when you need something. The line went quiet except for some murmuring, then Mom hung up. I kept watching the security cameras. The business partners were already walking back to their car, shaking their heads and looking embarrassed. One of them patted Dad on the shoulder like he was offering condolences before they drove away. My family stood in my driveway for another 10 minutes, waving their arms around and pointing at the house. Emma was trying to calm down the kids, who were crying because they didn't understand why they couldn't go inside. Mom kept pacing back and forth, probably trying to figure out how to fix this mess. Dad just stood there looking defeated. Finally, they all got back in their cars and left. Before Jake drove away, he rolled down his window and gave the camera the finger, real classy. I closed my laptop and felt this incredible sense of relief wash over me. It was like a weight had been lifted off my shoulders. For the first time in years, I didn't have to worry about what my family needed from me or how they were going to use me next. But I knew this wasn't over, not by a long shot. Over the next few hours, my phone blew up with texts and missed calls. Jake sent me a long message calling me selfish and heartless. Emma wrote that I was a terrible sister who had ruined Dad's special day. Mom sent multiple texts demanding that I apologize and pay for the ruined party. The one that really got to me was from Dad, I'm disappointed in you, Sheila. I never thought my own daughter would humiliate me like this. I turned my phone off and went to bed early. I'd deal with the fallout tomorrow. Monday morning, I woke up to 17 missed calls and 43 text messages. Most of them were variations of the same theme, I was selfish, greedy, a horrible daughter, and I owed them all apologies and money. I deleted them all without reading most of them. But Tuesday morning, I woke up to something different. My friend Kelly had tagged me in a Facebook post. It was from Mom's page, and it was a long rant about what a terrible daughter I was. My daughter Sheila ruined her father's birthday by refusing to let us into her lake house, it read. She embarrassed us in front of important business associates and showed no respect for family. I'm heartbroken that I raised such a selfish child. The post had dozens of comments from relatives and family friends, most of them expressing shock and disappointment in me. A few people defended me, asking what had happened, but Mom just kept saying I was being dramatic and cruel. That's when I decided I was done being quiet. I wrote my own Facebook post, and I included everything. The photos of my trashed house. Screenshots of Mom's demanding texts about buying expensive gifts and cleaning up. Screenshots of Emma's social media post about spending time with people who really matter. This is what I came home to after my family had a party at my house without telling me, I wrote. They moved the party to a different day, didn't bother to inform me, trashed my house, and then expected me to clean it up and host another party the following week. When I refused, they called me selfish. You can judge for yourselves whether I'm the problem here. The response was immediate and overwhelming. Relatives who had been criticizing me suddenly changed their tune. Family friends started commenting about how awful my family had been to me. People were sharing the post and taking my side. Aunt Helen, who had been at the party without me, commented, I had no idea they hadn't told you about the date change. That's terrible, honey. Wednesday afternoon, Mom called me. I almost didn't answer, but I was curious to hear what she had to say after the Facebook disaster. Sheila, you need to take down that post right now. Your father's business partners saw it. They're reconsidering their contracts with him. You're hurting his business. That's not my fault, that's the consequence of how you all treated me. We treated you fine, you're just being oversensitive. Mom, you had a party without me, trashed my house, and then demanded I clean it up and buy expensive gifts. How is that treating me fine? She was quiet for a few seconds. Then, we've always been there for you. When have you ever been there for me? When I was in the hospital? When I needed help moving? When I was going through my divorce? You were all too busy, but somehow you always have time when you need something from me. That's not true. It is true, and you know it. I'm done, Mom, I'm done being your personal ATM and cleaning service. Don't call me again unless you're ready to apologize and mean it. I hung up and immediately blocked her number. Then I blocked Jake and Emma too. The next few days were rough. Part of me felt guilty for cutting off my entire family. These were the people who raised me, who I'd shared holidays and birthdays with for 32 years. But every time I started to doubt myself, I'd look at the photos of my trashed house or reread their dismissive texts, and I'd remember why I did it. My Facebook post kept getting more attention. People were sharing it with comments like, "This is why I don't let family take advantage of me," and "Good for her for standing up to toxic relatives." The support from friends and extended family was overwhelming. 2 weeks after the birthday incident, I decided to spend a long weekend at the lake house. As I drove up, I felt nervous for the first time. What if they were there? What if they'd somehow broken in? But the house was exactly as I'd left it. Clean, peaceful, and mine. I spent 3 days there reading, swimming in the lake, and just enjoying the silence. No demanding texts, no guilt trips, no one expecting me to fix their problems or pay their bills. On Sunday evening, as I was packing to leave, I got a text from an unknown number. It was Jake, texting from someone else's phone. "Sheila, this has gone too far. Mom is depressed and Dad's business is struggling because of what you did. We need to talk." I stared at the message for a long time. Part of me wanted to respond, to try to work things out. But then I remembered Emma's laughing emojis when I showed them the photos of my destroyed house. I remembered Mom hanging up on me when I tried to explain how hurt I was. I remembered years of being taken for granted. I deleted the message without responding. That was a month ago now. I still haven't heard from any of them directly, Though I've heard through other relatives that they're telling people I had some kind of breakdown and that they're concerned about my mental health. Classic manipulation tactic: make me the crazy one so they don't have to examine their own behavior. But I'm not crazy, I'm healthier than I've been in years. I've been going to therapy to work through the guilt and the family dynamics, and my therapist says I did exactly the right thing by setting boundaries. I've been to the lake house 4 more times since then. Each visit feels more like home and less like a place I have to defend. I'm thinking about getting a dog, something I never did before because I was always worried about how it would affect family visits. My friends have been incredibly supportive. Several of them have told me they never liked how my family treated me but didn't feel like it was their place to say anything. Now they're encouraging me to stick to my guns. I don't know what the future holds. Maybe someday my family will genuinely apologize and we can rebuild our relationship. Maybe they won't, and I'll have to accept that I'm better off without them. Either way, I'm not going back to being their doormat. I've learned that family isn't just about blood, it's about respect, love, and treating each other well. If they can't do that, then they don't deserve a place in my life. For now, I'm focusing on myself. I'm happy, I'm free, and my house stays clean. That's more than enough.